Hey folks, so this is Shetz, and today we're going to talk about arc length. But first, I want you to study this circle very carefully. And if I went all the way around like this, what did I just do? I'll give you a minute, give you a second to think on it. And I hope you said, hey Shetz, you just did the circumference. That's correct. I just did the circumference. Now, how about if I said this? How long is this highlighted piece? Now, I know some of you are saying, oh, it's 90 degrees. Well, that would be correct. The measure is 90 degrees, but I want to know how long that is. Well, we know we have a box here, and as we said, this measure is 90 degrees, but I want to know how long it is. Well, notice, would you agree that it's part of the circumference? You would agree to that, right? It's part of the circumference. Okay. It's part of the circle's circumference. 2 pi r is your circumference. Well, here's your formula for it, and we're going to have it on the next page once I get to it. But you are correct. In the measure of this arc is 90. You're absolutely correct. The measure of the arc is 90, but that's out of a whole complete circle. So it's always part of your circle over the 360, a whole circle, times your circumference. And you know this 90 over 360, this would be a quarter of the circumference. Great. Okay, let's move on. We'll come to that. This is Class Kick slide number 38. And the circumference is the perimeter of the circle. We've had that before. It has 2 formulas. Circumference equals 2 pi r, or twice r is this d for diameter. So either formula works good for me. And notice the directions. They want the circumference. Give answers 2 ways. First, leave it in terms of pi, which simply means there's a pi in your answer. And second, rounded to 2 decimals. Okay, so if we look at this, number 1 right here, 2 pi r, there's our formula. 2 pi, plug in the 3.2. Twice 3.2 is 6.4 pi. That's one of the answers. In terms of pi, notice, do you see a pi in your answer right there? Now, they said 2 decimal places. Okay. Well, plug it into your calculator. 6.4 times 3.14. You're going to get a 20.11. Okay. And now when we go over to this problem, problem 2, what I did was I kept my formula. And notice, 5 is a whole diameter. I took half of it and got 2.5 for the radius. Now, if you wanted to use this formula right here, you could have. 5d. And notice, I got the same answer, even though I took half the diameter. You could just leave the diameter, times it by pi. 5 pi. And 5 times 3.14, it is 15.7. And again, they want 2 answers. That's in terms of pi, and that's the decimal. Okay, now let's get back to that arc length. Arc length is a distance along the circle between 2 points. It's part of the circumference. And here's our formula again. Same formula I had on the previous page. Measure of the arc over a whole circle times 2 pi r. Okay. So if you think logically, this pink line is part of a circle. Now, we know the central angle is 120. This arc's measure is 120. But we're finding, our answer is going to be, how long is that pink piece? So it's the arc's measure, central angle is 120, the arc's measure is 120 over 360 times 2 times pi times the radius. See that? 3 centimeters. Well, if I reduce 120 over 360, that gives me a third. And watch this, folks. Bada bing, bada boom. These 3's are going to cancel. And look what we have left. 2 pi centimeters. That's one answer with in terms of pi. And then twice 3.14 is 6.28. There you go. If we look at this example here, the next example, example 4, we're going to take 45 over 360. And for both of these problems, it works out really nice. 2 pi r, r is the radius, 6. Notice how that conveniently reduces to 1/8. And if you want, you could take a 2 out here. That would be a 4. And I can continue to cancel. Take a 2 out of here. That would leave me a 3. And taking a 2 out of there leaves me a 2. So, if you notice what we get, I have to find it. Here it is. We get 3 pi over 2 meters. That's in terms of pi. And then our decimal. So 3/2 is 1.5 times pi is 4.71 meters. So there you go, folks. And I will put these 3 problems on your assessment tomorrow. All right, take care.